Hello everyone, I'm Lori. Welcome back to Milkweeds and Roses. We are inside today because outside is pretty cold and pretty snowy. And maybe it's that way in your neck of the woods too. But there's still plenty of things that we can do that are garden friendly, not to mention creative, and a good way to kind of get your garden fix. Specifically, I have some plants back here. Can you see them behind me? That have been here all winter. Some cacti, some succulents that are looking pretty sad. So I need to repot them. And, but I'm also interested in making something new out of that. Specifically, I'm thinking about, I like to call them desktop garden vignettes. Desktop garden. So we've got one that we're going to create, a little trellis for one that will be for a shadier area, and then we'll redo this succulent container, cacti container, and we're going to have to start with that one. So, because that is long overdue. All right, are you ready? First things first, let's repot this cactus. Okay, so this is the original. I'm sure you'll agree it's pretty sad. It's been in here for, over a year. It was outside and actually looking pretty good at that point. There are some things in here though that are just, it had mealy bugs, it had some, propagation attempts that didn't really work out. So I think it's best to get a clean slate and start over. So I'm going to change out the soil, maybe get rid of this one succulent that's just looking too sad for words. And then I've got a couple other new ones I'm going to add. That should be pretty nice, I think. So either way, it'll make it interesting. This one is super cool. It's called a Kalanchoa. Eriophylla. I should get my glasses on. But see, isn't it pretty? It's very pretty. And it's sort of fuzzy like a lamb's ear. I'm not sure if it's going to bloom. There's some interesting looking little things on there. And you're probably familiar with this one. And this is kind of new to me also, Haworthia. Okay, I like the nice little red color in there, so I think that'll be kind of cool. So we're going to redo this pot, add these new things, and come up with something that is creative. And then we'll work at creating a trellis made out of garden materials and also some crafty things. We'll put it all together and we'll plant some different things for a desktop garden. Okay, let's see what we've got. All right, first of all, begin at the beginning. So let's get some of this. Let me get some of the rocks out. Let me get you a better angle. Okay, we're gonna take some of these more decorative rocks out that are pretty, but I'm going to set those aside. You can always put those back in there. And then to get the plants out themselves. Now, I don't think I have any cacti in this particular thing, so I don't have some gloves on. But I do have some other things involved. See, this is the one that I think is just, this one is just so sad. It looks sick. It got too dry. See, it did have some roots that it was attempting. And maybe I'll put that in a separate container and see if I can't get it to take off. But it's just, yeah, pretty sad. And this one did root. Some of these. But let's just, like I said, let's just start over. All right. This is really dry, as I was expecting, but I just don't think the soil is healthy, so we're gonna start over. Okay, I've got it cleaned out, I wiped it down, but you notice these two big drainage holes here. I'm gonna need to cover those, and I was just thinking I need something mesh-like that would work, and I have these old fish filters from a fish tank that is not in use anymore. So I'm thinking I can use that. I mean, minus the charcoal that's in there. But I think if I find a way to do that, just cut a couple little squares out of this, I think should work, you know. And so what it is a filter. The water passes through. Doesn't have to be very big of a spot. Okay, there we go. Cut that in half. Just place it over the top. Dirt will hold it in place. Now I have some fresh soil. Just got this at my local garden store, specifically for cacti and succulents. Put some of this in the bottom. There you go. So that it's not squishy or anything. Not that it would be. It's got a lot of well-draining, a lot of material in here to help it drain. This is the big one. And you know, this is so dry, I think I'm going to put it in a container and help it soak for a bit. Take some of these out of the containers. And I've seen that adage that says you know, when you plant cacti, don't water them right away. But, you know, considering how dry this is, I mean, the soil is falling away because it's just powder. I think I will probably water this after I plant them. So, Kalanchoa. Right, it's beautiful. Ooh, I got the same thing going on here. And again, they don't like to be watered very often, but all living things, remember, even air plants, do need water. Okay, this. Now it's got some good root system, a little more root bound. I'll just leave that there. Now what I picture was the tall one, the big one in the middle, and these smaller ones around the outside with some decorative rock on it to help it shine and really take off, and maybe put some nice little poles that I can decorate with some fairy lights. And then this will have to be in a sunny spot. It's been soaking for about 15 minutes now. Now some of these roots, I might just trim some of these. Not a lot, but just a little, okay. I think I kind of like this one in the corner. So it might get a little bigger and sort of has this tendency maybe to sprawl, which would be kind of nice. So let's put that over here, kind of. Well, if I'm going to put 4 poles in this, I'm going to have to leave some room for the fairy poles. And this one is just to bring a lighter color here because it's a pretty dark planter. Okay. There should be a cactus, yes. And these two guys. Put them in the corner. Now I might have to eventually repot some of this if it gets too big for this container. But a lot of these are pretty slow growing. Hold him in place. Get some soil up around him. Easy, easy. Yikes. This guy. Okay, well, I found some white stone, but you know what else? I also came across some yellow fireplace glass. I guess that's the best way to put it. That might be interesting, just for accent, not to put the whole thing in there. And by the way, if you're wondering what happened to two of the other plants that were in there, these two, since these did have mealybugs, I am planting those in a separate container and letting them, I'm gonna let them soak and see if, you know, I can't bring them back to health, and then repot them in something else. That's what I'm looking at. So I'm gonna add some of this stone because I think this will really make it pop, and also some of that yellow, I guess they call it fireplace glass, but that's just for accent. Okay, adding some of this. Now, I'm not looking to create a naturalistic landscape here. I personally like something a little more whimsical. So, okay, let's get some of that glass and I'll show you what I mean. And because this is an inside plant, I don't have to worry about critters getting into it or hurting themselves or anything like that. All right. That does look kind of handsome, if I say so myself. See how it sparkles? Now, let's create some little poles in here that I can hang some decorative fairy lights. So during the year, all year long, I collect and gather scavenge little things in the garden that I can repurpose into little fairy garden structures or just something creative. Sometimes you see something like an acorn cap, which is so cool. You're not sure how you're gonna use it, but you grab it anyway. Yeah, I do that. So these are sticks that I've cut to approximately the same size, mostly. They're solid, and I used these for craft purposes. I just kind of save them in the garage. I don't see any sort of critters on them or anything, so I mean, that's good. But that's what I use these for. And so I need 4 of these that I can repurpose to make into some fairy poles. So let's see what I can find. And then I figure I just hang some fairy lights around them. I will decorate them somehow. I'm not sure how, but it'll be interesting. Let's see what we can do. But let's start with these 4. So I think what I'm gonna do is I have a whole bunch of moss. I'm probably just gonna hot glue some moss to the sides of some of these. Maybe a couple little sparkly things, I don't know. Let's see what we can get up to. Okay, I happen to have some little gold beads that I think once I get glue on these, wrap them in moss, I can also dip them in these gold beads. So it'll be a mossy, iridescent kind of shine, which would be kind of interesting. But I won't know until I get one started how that's gonna actually look. This kind is, it's just from a craft store. It's not live moss, it's preserved moss. But it is pliable because it seems kind of moist. So in other words, I think once I put glue on this stick, this will be easy to adhere. Let me put you down here so you can see what I'm doing. I'm gonna put some gold beads. And they get everywhere. Yeah, okay. Not these, I want the smaller ones. Okay. Put some glue right there. Well, maybe I can get this to attach. Let's see what happens. Interesting. Try little sprinkling of beads right there. And they just go everywhere, so you have to be prepared for that. Interesting. Okay. Take this part off a bit. Okay. You can clean up the glue strings a little bit later. Interesting. Need some more gold right in here. Now they do make glitter glue sticks, hot glue sticks. I didn't happen to have any on hand, but that might be kind of interesting. I was worried about, if I was worried about being neat, I wouldn't do anything at all. It's just not neat. It's okay. All right. There we go. There's the third one. One more to go. Two. Three. Now the fairy lights are going to help keep them in place. Four. Smush the rocks around a little better. Okay, so here we are the next day. So that took enough time to do the first one. Isn't that the way you start a project? And sometimes you just have to piecemeal it a little at a time until it gets done. So we got the cacti, the sunny, spiky desktop garden all put together. In the end, I didn't like the red fairy lights up on top. It just seems a little too holiday, which is what they were originally used for. So I found some different lights, and I'm still not even sure if I really like those, but I'll show you what it looks like at night. I decided to put the lights on the bottom and then just attach some decorative wire with raffia around it, around the top, because that also helps stabilize those poles, because it's, you know, kind of a delicate balance there. Again, this is only meant for indoors. It's not meant for outdoors. That's also why I included glass with it, because the fire glass, that's not a kid's project that I would recommend using glass. It's a sparkly thing. It looks nice with the lights on it. But if you have kids that are doing that, first of all, don't choose spiky cactus. That's one thing. But also you can use smooth stones, other things that aren't a choking hazard, but it can also help them learn how to plant succulents. So it still can be a kid-friendly project, but not the way I put it together. So that's strictly a grown-ups only kind of a thing. So now I have another container to plant up, another desktop container, or desktop. Now I have another desktop container to plant up, a desktop garden. This one will be more of a shady woodland vignette. That's kind of what I picture. Now I have this really nice kind of a round bowl. I like this bowl. I like the patina on it, and it has a matching saucer. And to put in it, I thought there's a fern. So I thought if I build a teepee kind of a structure, which will have more shade, and I could put this fern in the middle, which will spread nicely, and then an ivy on the outside, and train that to climb the teepee, that might be kind of interesting. That's the plan anyway. So for this one, we'll need different soil, not the cacti succulent topsoil, which has really good drainage, but one that's going to have more nutrients and slow down the drainage. So that one is just strictly container mix, and I got that handy here too. So happy frog. This was just in my local garden store. So what I'm going to do is moisten this first. Now, you know, when I use water for my plants, long ago, I started putting in some, let me show you, some water conditioner. I use this for my fish tank, works well, but I have such hard water here in Iowa. I don't know about you. Do you have hard water? And it's chlorinated. That, you know, tap water is kind of hard on houseplants. Some are more sensitive than others, but if I get the choice, it's real easy to just put a couple of drops of any kind of things. You can find it on Amazon. You can find it at your local aquatic store too, whatever. But I just put a couple drops in a gallon of water and use that when I water my plants. So we just work it through. Let's moisten it. Doesn't that feel good to get your hands in the dirt? That's what I miss about this time of year. You don't get that many opportunities, certainly none outside in my Zone 5B garden. Ground is still frozen, even though we've had some warm temperatures. It goes up and down. I mean, the high might be 50 or something, but it only is that warm for a couple hours. The bulk of the time of the 24-hour period, it's freezing, and that's what happens overnight. So, soil temperature too cold. Ground is frozen. But I'm looking forward to being able to do this outside. It's very satisfying. All right, now since this is such a small drainage hole, honestly, I'm not gonna worry about putting drainage rocks in there or a mesh like I did before, because this is a pretty small hole. I'm just gonna go ahead and put some soil in there. And then we will create, again, using some salvaged garden stuff from the course of the summer, see what we can create, a little structure to decorate our desktop garden. Okay, delicate roots. Hollow out a little area here, smack dab in the middle. And this ivy, which is fairly resilient, just pretty standard ivy, can also tolerate some shade, but it's going to need some part sun at least. Okay, there she goes. So this can trail over the side of the pot as well as the outside. Isn't that pretty? So I think that'll be nice and soft here with our planter. So I'm going to try that here on top. So for this one, what I'm going to do is start with, let's see what sticks we have left. Okay. So I want them all to be approximately the same size. So the short ones we're going to dismiss right away. Let me back this up a little so you can see. All right, so this one, nope. This one, nope. This one, no. Although I could technically do it at the front, what I hope to create. These two are a little bit short as well, so I'll get rid of those for now. This is a raffia, again, got this in the craft store, raffia wrapped wire, floral wire. So I'm just going to start with that. Just need to secure it at the top, and we'll cover up all of our, work as we go along. Now that we've got the top secured, we need to flare the bottom. This will be what sticks in the pot. So you just start threading it in there. And we want that to climb the structure, so that goes on the back. Okay, so this will be the front. You'll see the moss. And this will be the back, where we'll train the ivy to grow. So to help secure it in place, again, you can do the raffia wire. This is pretty sturdy. Okay, now I happen to have some leather cord. Again, another crafting thing, but this is a lot more pliable and easy to weave. Okay, so that's what we're going to do from there. A lot of this will be covered up. We will attach some moss. Now adding this helps secure your wrapping wire. Also helps to conceal it. Just make sure you don't burn the plant, by the way. All along that stick. And we're going to add some like I said, we're kind of concealing these wrap points. Okay, let's do some more of this over here. See what I'm doing. Here we go, small little pieces. Again, this is just acrylic, little acrylic stones you can find in your local craft store. And see the sparkle glue glitter? I mean, that just makes almost everything more fabulous. But I like how that will probably catch the light. I think will be kind of neat. That was kind of fun. I'll give you a picture here of what it looks like, what they both look like, done. And we'll have some more projects we can certainly do. Coming up next, seed starting. Yeah. And also, I went to a Master Gardener presentation from an entomologist at Iowa State University, and he was really informative about beneficial bugs and pests, the good guys, the bad guys. Of course, if you ask an entomologist about bad bugs, they'll say there's no such thing. They're just interested. More to come. But anyway, I'm specifically looking at plants that I can start, perennials that I can plant this year that will bring in more beneficial bugs. Beneficial bugs can take care of the ones that I find to be pests, okay? Things that savage my roses or cause problems with other plants. So that's what I'm looking for. So that will be what we'll look at next. But in the meantime, thanks for joining me. And I hope that you give a project like this a try. It's kind of nice to have something and get your fingernails in the dirt. Do you know what I mean? And I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye.